Are you constantly feeling tired and fatigued? Now, you're a triathlete. You're probably going to feel tired relatively frequently, but to the point where it's constant, or you're not recovering quickly and you're really struggling to recover. Or are you running out of gears mid-session and having to slow down? Are you struggling to get motivated to do your training because you aren't actually recovering properly? Or maybe you're getting through your training, but you're not actually seeing the results that you're expecting. Maybe you're ticking off all your training sessions, you're winning unicorns, you're making TrainingPeaks go green, but you're not actually sure if what you're doing is helping you get fitter and faster. Now, if any of that sounds familiar, the chances are that your nutrition is probably the thing that's holding you back. And the truth is, most triathletes don't have a solid nutrition plan. They are completely winging it. And I say that after working with triathletes for almost 2 decades now. I haven't met one athlete that really has a solid plan unless they've had advice from a sports dietitian that specializes in triathlon. Maybe you have a resemblance of a plan. You've got some advice or you've tried to piece it together from the internet, but you're not really sure if it's dialed in for you. And that guesswork, honestly, is costing you energy, it's costing you performance, it's probably costing you money, and it's even probably costing you some race results as well. But the good news is, because you listen to the TNA podcast, you don't have to keep making these same mistakes. And in today's episode, I wanted to break down 5 of the biggest signs that your nutrition is the missing link. And most importantly, how to actually go about fixing it. Because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And you might think you're doing a good job, but are you? Really? When you fuel properly for you, everything changes. You will train harder, you'll find another gear when it gets hard, and you'll back up and recover faster so that you can absorb your entire training program, not just parts of it, and actually perform to what you're capable of, what this body, this high performance engine is truly capable of. And I wanted to share Sam's story with you really quickly because she has just had an epic race at Geelong 70.3. She is a local and has done that course for many years in a row. But the difference this year is she just finished phase 3 of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program. She came first in her age group and she just did a massive 14-minute PB on the same course, which is massive. Huge congratulations, Sam. And she thought she was doing a great job with her nutrition, but sometimes you don't know that there's a problem until you figure out another way. And so today's episode, I wanted to cover 5 of the common signs that I just see over and over again with triathletes so that you can identify if any of these things are what may be holding you back, and then let's work on actually fixing them. And if you are serious about taking control of your nutrition, now is the perfect time to do something about it, because the next cohort of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program is about to kick off. So this is your chance to get expert guidance from a triathlon dietitian and a proven step-by-step system that is personalized to you so that you can stop winging it and start fueling with confidence. Here are the 5 biggest nutrition red flags that I see in triathletes and how to turn them around. The first one is you're feeling tired, you're feeling fatigued, you're lacking energy, and potentially alongside that, some motivation. Why this happens for people, it is very multifactorial, but here are some of the big rocks. Number 1 is underfueling. And that means not eating enough carbohydrate, whether it's outside of training, in training, or both, to meet your demands for your program and your body. Another big one is poor recovery. If you are shit at recovery, you are crap at it, you might think you're doing the right thing, but it's probably not optimized for you, then you aren't backing up and recovering quickly in between your training sessions to be able to go again for the next one. And that fatigue just builds as the week goes on. Do you ever find that? Like you can muscle through the work week, the training week, but then by, say, Friday, you're absolutely smashed and you are not sure how you're going to get through those big long endurance sessions on the weekend. Another reason why this might be a problem or might be one of the things that is letting you down is that your carbohydrate intake is not timed correctly either. So you're not eating the right amounts before training sessions, you're not eating the right amounts during training sessions, and you're not properly refueling again post-training. You may also be limiting in some of the key nutrients that we need as endurance athletes. Iron is a big one. It's involved in so many different processes in the body, and it's really common for endurance athletes to be deficient in iron, particularly if you're female and particularly if you're a vegan triathlete. You're a high risk group for having inadequate iron stores. And that's something that you do want to fix, and quickly, because there is no point training and training hard on low iron. And finally, another reason why you might be feeling tired and fatigued all the time is that you're actually dehydrated. Even mild dehydration negatively impacts performance and our energy levels. And so it might be one of the pieces of your puzzle that you need to fix so that we can get over this tiredness slump. Now, I want to say this, and I feel like I say this all the time, but you need to not wear tiredness and fatigue as a badge of honor as a triathlete. Like, yes, you will feel tired. You do a lot of exercise, you do a lot of things in life, but it shouldn't be something that we're proud of. And we need to get away from that mindset of like, I'm completely smashed, I'm completely fatigued, I must have done a good job. There is another way to do it, and I want to show you how to fix it. Firstly, you need to get really strategic with your fueling. Timing, type, amount of carbs matter. You can't eat the same way each day in, day out, and expect a different outcome. You need to optimize your periodization for the training program that you're doing, and that is going to evolve every day, every week, every month, every season. It's not a set and forget thing, but you need to understand why we need to do that, and then how specifically to manipulate that for yourself so that you can make those really quick, rapid, finesse changes as your training program changes. If you have a meal plan that you are rinsing and repeating, you are not doing yourself any justice because you haven't got all of your building blocks dialed in to support that training program to the best of its ability. To fix your tiredness, you also need to do a really good job of recovery. And most triathletes think that they do a good job of that. But let me tell you, when athletes come through the TNA program and I show them how to do it for themselves, what they need to do, what macros they need to tick, the timing, all those types of things, they always tell me that they thought they had it right and they were so far off it. It's not funny. But that is a big one, is to rapidly recover so that you can train again in that afternoon or the next morning. We don't have the luxury of time to recover as triathletes. We've got to back up and train again that day, the next day. Like, it is just over and over and over. It's like a freight train that never stops. Compared to somebody that goes to the gym, they might have, 24, 48 hours to recover before they go and do another heavy set. We don't have that luxury. We've got to swim and bike and run and do strength training and do life in a very full week. And so recovery is something you need to get good at and make it habitual and be doing it day in, day out for the rest of your career. So if we're going to get strategic with our fueling, learning how to periodize nutrition to match your training load is key. There is no one size fits all. I don't hand my athletes a plan that everyone gets the exact same copy of. I teach them how to periodize their nutrition for themselves because everyone has a different training program. Coaches have different philosophies. You might be doing your own programming. Whichever way you are going, you need to understand how to eat for that work required for that training session in that day and in that week. You need to also layer in some hydration and a strategy to that. There is just generic information on the internet about how much to drink and when, and that's not going to serve anybody because our sweat rate and our own hydration needs are highly, highly individual. And they also change on a daily basis. So you need to understand what your needs are and make sure that you are dialing in your hydration strategy to prevent that performance limiting dehydration. If you're feeling flat and sluggish and fatigued mid-session and you're also just feeling exhausted all the time, then that is a major red flag for me that nutrition is a missing link for you and it's what is holding you back. It is one of the key things that I love to teach athletes how to do is to eat for their training program, and it is relatively easy to do when you understand how to do it for yourself. So if you're feeling tired, you're feeling fatigued, then I would get you to address those big rocks with your nutrition first. There are other things that we can do as well, but ticking off those big ones is going to make a huge impact to your energy levels. So you're not feeling like a tired triathlete all the time. Sign number 2 that your nutrition is holding you back is that you are recovering slowly. Maybe you're always sore. Maybe you're always kind of waking up feeling fatigued, or you head to a session feeling a bit flat. That often happens when you do have really poor recovery practices post-training. So you're not getting the right balance of the macros for you. The timing's not right, but just recovery in general post-exercise is not good. You could also not have the right amount of protein in your diet on a daily basis, whether that is not enough or some people actually eat too much because, I don't know, there's this trend at the moment for more is better with everything. And because we're high performing humans, we think more, more, more. But dialing in your protein needs for you on a daily basis is really important to make sure you are recovering. Because we are training a lot, the body is always recovering. Like I said earlier, we don't have the luxury of time to sit back, rest, recover. We've got to be as aggressive as we can with our nutrition principles to help the body recover as rapidly as possible. Now, different life stages, genders, training status, athlete level are going to dictate some of your protein needs, and it does change across the lifespan as well. So again, it's not a set and forget number. It is something that we can really dial in for you based on where you're at, what you're trying to achieve. It's not just blanketly pulling a number off the internet. And if you pull a number off the internet, chances are it is way under what you need, or the other way it's going at the moment is it's going to be way over what you need. So I give my athletes a range, but then we talk about where they would sit in that range based on them as an individual. Another reason why your recovery might be slow is because you're not also refueling post-training. Particularly if you've got back-to-back sessions in a row or days that are back-to-back, a morning session, an afternoon session, and then you've got to back up again and go the next morning. If you're not refueling for whatever that work that was done, then you haven't topped up your fuel tank to give you that energy to go again in the next training session. And the other reason, another big rock why this one might happen while your recovery is just not very good is because your general diet is shit. Yep. I am very no BS. I have seen many triathletes eat terribly and wonder why it's just not all falling into place for them. Yes, you do a lot of training, but that doesn't mean that you can put shit fuel or the cheap economy fuel into your high performance engine and expect it to perform like a race car. You have to put the right building blocks in on the daily. You may be able to get away with eating a little more junk than the average person that sits on their butt, but is that the right things to be putting in to get the most out? So if your recovery is slow, here's some key things that you need to do to try and fix it. Number 1, dial in your recovery nutrition for you. Make sure you're ticking off my 4 R's of recovery in the right time, in the macronutrients that are dialed in for you. They are not blanket. You need to understand how much to have and when, and also finding fast, easy recovery meals or snacks that fit into your lifestyle. There is no point creating this amazing, fully detailed, convoluted plan if you can't actually action it, because there is no benefit to having a plan if you can't then put it into place. So learn exactly what you need, figure out an option that fits with your lifestyle, and you can do it when you're running around like a headless chicken, getting kids to school, running into the office, whatever it is that you're doing. There's no point if you've left it at home. If it was perfect, you need to actually get it into the system. There is a reason why I cover recovery nutrition first in the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program. It is our very first masterclass that unlocks on the 19th of April. It has the biggest impact first, and people feel amazing very quickly when they get it right. You need to also avoid the common pitfall I see with athletes is skipping recovery if it's an easy session. You think, I only went for a 60-minute easy run, and so I don't really need to do recovery because I'll be right. it still impacts your recovery and your progress. So understanding what you need to do specifically, when you need to do it, and all the types of sessions that you need to be aggressive with recovery need to form a huge foundation to your plan, because proper recovery is one of the biggest game changers. In the TNA program, I make it super simple so you can put it into place rapidly and hit every session with it. What athletes always come back and tell me afterwards is that recovery was one of the biggest game changers for them. Kelly, who just started with me in January, has just finished up with phase 1 now. And she is feeling like stark contrast, night and day, compared to what she was doing before. And it just took a few simple tweaks and a few habit changes to get that really dialed in for her. And she feels supercharged as a result of that one tiny fix. The third sign that your nutrition is definitely holding you back, and this one's pretty clear, but whether you feel bloated, uncomfortable, sloshy, nauseous, insert any gut issue related symptom here during training. If you're somebody that knows where every portaloo or toilet is on your running route, then your nutrition needs to be adjusted. If you know that you have to stop eating X number of hours before a particular type of training session, then your nutrition needs some adjustment. If you're a trail runner and you know that you're going to have to go find somewhere to hide mid-run, then your nutrition is definitely holding you back. Now, for obvious reasons, all of these gut issues that we can have as triathletes are horrible. You don't need to battle with it forever. A lot of the time they are fixable, but most people don't know how to actually go about fixing it. And you need to be quite systematic to understand what the problem is for you, and then how do we go about resolving it. Why this happens for people, it is highly individual, and again, it's quite multifactorial. So you need to figure out what the issue and what the problem is for you and your little gastrointestinal system. But a big one is using the wrong sports nutrition products. There is the wild, wild west of sports nutrition products out there. And not all gels and drinks are created equal. There are some terrible sports nutrition products on the market. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. But understanding what's in your products and where you're looking for the right things for you is a game changer, because you're not just grabbing whatever looks good on the feed or what's on special, or, there's upsells and order bumps that you get in your cart, and then you try them and then you still have no idea if they're right for you or not. Steve, one of our athletes, used to just use whatever gels were available at his local bike shop, and he hated them. He didn't even enjoy consuming them, but they were easy, and he thought that they would be good because they're available locally, and the bike shop's selling them, so they must be all right. One of the first things I did with him was change that, because why would you muscle through something that you don't actually enjoy? And he was like, I didn't even think about doing that. And that is where the value of seeing a sports dietitian comes in. So you need to be testing your race day nutrition in training. There is no point training on something and then racing with something completely different, which is what Troy was doing before he joined the TNA program. He was doing his own homemade concoction gels as a way to save money, because the products that he's using on course are one of the most expensive gels on the market. So he was making his own concoctions in training, and then for race day, he was flipping over to those. And I'm like, why on earth are you doing that? And he's like, well, because it's expensive. And I'm like, yeah, fair point. So let's train, though, with what you're going to race with. And when we dug deeper, the real reason he wasn't racing on his homemade concoction was because he wasn't confident that it was the right mix of things for him. So what we did was we actually dialed in his homemade concoction specifically for him. And he's also just raced Geelong 70.3 on his homemade concoction. He's saving a crap load of money, but he has way more confidence in his during training nutrition as a result. And he smacked out an epic performance despite having gastro for the week leading in. He had the fastest swim. He held that on the bike, and just like me, he's a strong swim biker. He ended up coming third after being passed in the run. Damn it, don't you hate that? Another big reason why gut issues can happen in training or in racing is because you actually have the wrong food outside of it. So big rocks are too much fat, too much fiber. They slow down digestion, and cause all that discomfort that happens during training, during racing. But often we're blaming what we've done just before or what we're having during. And really, it's what we've had in the time leading in. The other big one is dehydration. When you're dehydrated, your digestive process doesn't work particularly well. And the longer you're out there for and the more dehydrated you get, the worse it is going to get. So they're kind of some big reasons why it would happen. There are plenty of others, but how do you actually go about fixing that? Like, firstly, you need to choose the right fuel for your body. Sports nutrition products are not a one size fits all. And I love getting real nerdy and talking about the ingredients of our sports nutrition products, the different kind of transporters that happen to get that fuel into our bloodstream where it's actually usable. And my athletes know how to look at a label and go, is this a good product or is this one absolute BS? And one of my favorite parts about our alumni power hour sessions is they will bring bogus products and then we will have a nice robust discussion around why that's a joke. But at least I'm saving them money by not going down random rabbit holes and seeing these shiny new things and going, yeah, that looks good. I'm going to give that a go. The second thing that you can do to fix it is to develop a gut training protocol so that your stomach can handle in a race situation what it does in training. So you need to be able to build that gut tolerance up through your sessions so that when it comes to race day, you're confident that you can handle it. You also need to work through what types of foods feel best and most comfortable before a training session. And if you're waiting multiple hours from eating to training, then we need to fix that because that's not an ideal setup. You probably already know which ones to avoid, but there's probably other things that are sneaking in there that you don't know about or you're not aware about that are causing havoc and wreaking havoc when you actually go and do a training session. And then finally, hydration, right? If dehydration is going to negatively impact our gut, then we need to make sure we understand our hydration needs and we are hydrating properly before and during training, as well as rehydrating again afterward. And that'll help keep all of your digestive processes running nice and smoothly and minimize any gut impact that may have happened by dehydration. The fourth sign that your nutrition is probably holding you back is you running out of energy mid-session or in races. Now, that is definitely a continuum. It's not all right, I'm good. Okay, now I'm not good. It'll start with like a fatigue build and even some negativity coming through your mind when your legs are getting tired, your lungs are hurting, all the way down to starting to slow down because the body's just not able to go at that same pace, at that same intensity that you were rolling with before. And then, far down the continuum is actually bonking or hitting the wall where your muscle glycogen, your liver glycogen stores are running low. They're never going to be empty. You'd probably die. It's not going to happen, but your body will stop you from getting to that point by making you hit the wall, making you slow right down to a walk or stopping altogether. Now, why that happens along that continuum is because your fuel tank is running low. It's getting towards the E empty. And that could be because you're underfueling during those long training sessions and racing. So not taking enough carbohydrate per hour for what you need, or you're not actually digesting and absorbing what you're throwing at the system. And it's useless. And it's useless in your stomach. You need it absorbed into your bloodstream where it can be transported to the muscles for energy. So not practicing what you're going to race with in training properly is a real reason that this could be happening. Race day should never be the first time you test your fueling plan. You should have it very well practiced and very well rehearsed. It's not just winging it with whatever's available at aid stations in that race. Another reason why this is probably happening is that you haven't started well fueled. You've started training or racing and you're already carb depleted. And that doesn't come from what you eat just before that session. It comes from the 24 to 48 hours before that training session. And when you're constantly training, it's like this big washing machine or melting pot of fueling and recovering so that you can perform across all of your training program. The other reason why this might be happening is that you are dehydrated or you've got some electrolyte imbalances going on, causing that fatigue. But generally it's fueling first before going down that path, but it could also be that as well. And what you want to be able to do to make sure that you are performing to the best of your ability is you're able to find another gear in that second half of a training session or in the back end of your race where others are starting to fade. That is where the magic happens. And that will mean a faster race time at the end of the day because you haven't slowed down as much in the back end. Now, I'm doing a lot of gym training at the moment compared to more endurance training, just the phase of life that I'm in. And I can be 45 minutes into a hard 60-minute workout and find more energy. It is amazing. And that's one, because I'm a sports dietitian and I know how to support that training session to get, that second kick, that second wind, more energy when everyone else is fading and dying in the ass. And people often ask me like, oh my God, Taryn, what did you eat for breakfast? And, I tell them what I do and they're like, oh man, I didn't eat anything, or I just had some lollies. And I'm like, well, these are some things you could try if you want to do better. If you can find that second gear and, pick it up a notch in like an interval run training session or a fartlek or hill sprints or a crit race or your race, then you are going to perform so much better than if you were just dragging your sorry butt to the finish line with whatever energy you can piece together at the end. So how to fix it, how to find that extra gear. Learn how much carbohydrate you need per hour and actually need for you, because following generic advice for 90 grams of carbs an hour, 100 grams of carbs an hour, 120 grams of carbs an hour, whatever you find on the internet is not serving you. And then once you understand what you're trying to achieve, then you also need the ability to adjust it, tweak it, evolve it, so that we don't have this set and forget number that we just do all the time. You need to develop a personalized race nutrition plan and everything that goes with it, from your week leading in, carbohydrate loading if you need it for that race, your pre-race meal, what you're doing on the day, and then recovery out the other end, and testing it lots before the actual dance. You need to understand how to carbohydrate load properly, because it is not just eating a big bowl of pasta the night before your race and going, yep, I'm carved up. It's not binge eating at the pasta party. It's not sucking back extra sports drink on the day before your race to try and top up as well, getting all those electrolytes stored. That's BS, my friend. And you will not be served by doing random things like that. You need an actual structured, evidence-based and science-backed carbohydrate loading plan that works for you, because it's not as easy as it sounds. And I've not met one person that carbohydrate loads properly until they've been educated on how to do it. And if you're fading because you're getting too dehydrated where, performance is being affected, then dialing in your hydration plan is going to be key for you. And it's not just popping salt tablets randomly because the internet told you to, or, you got marketed that you needed it. You actually need to understand what you're replacing and how much and why, rather than blindly taking stuff. So if you've ever properly hit a wall or bonked mid-training session or mid-race, or you just can't find the extra gear to go hard at the end and you are slowing down, you're doing more walking through aid stations, you're dragging yourself to the finish line rather than running through it strongly and with a smile on your face, then nutrition is probably holding you back. And that's something you want to work on to dial in a proper fueling strategy so that you can finish strong. And my fifth sign, this is a big one, is that you don't have a clear plan. You're guessing, you're winging. And the problem here and why this happens is because you're probably getting random, varied advice from training buddies, your coach, the internet, podcasts. None of that is specific to you. It is all generalized. And there is no limit to the amount of information we get thrown at in today's age. The problem is not the amount of information available. The problem is understanding how to apply it to you and your situation. And I guess that's where my superpower comes in as a triathlon dietitian. I understand the science and can deep dive into that, but I'm very much a practitioner. I then apply that to what on earth you eat. What do you put in your mouth and when? And understanding reading food labels, putting together meal plans, getting everyone's requirements dialed in for them. That is my superpower and that is my job. And I do that day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out, and only with triathletes. I don't work with other athlete groups. I love the swim, bike, runners that do it all in one event because because you're an awesome human. The other reason why this might happen is that you're not actually understanding or tracking or knowing how to adjust your nutrition and how it impacts performance. You could be following random diets, the latest trends, the latest crazes. What's the latest? Oh, I don't even want to mention it, but some like wasp venom. There is so much stuff out there, and I bet you feel like you should do it and you need it, and you won't perform or have that competitive edge like someone else in your age group that's maybe doing it. But you need to understand whether that actually supports you and your endurance training, and whether that's going to help you be a better triathlete or not, or you're just throwing money down the sink at something that may or may not be working. A lot of triathletes waste money on supplements that they don't need, and are even missing the key ones that they potentially do need, the ones that might actually help them. And so often I hear people say, I've been taking this for years because someone back then told me to do it for some reason. I didn't really understand why. And so I've just continued to do it and nobody said otherwise. Let's get a bit smarter around the supplements that we take, and take the ones that are actually useful, beneficial, performance enhancing, and that you need, rather than just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping some of it sticks. Because there's a cool research paper that looked at multi-supplement use, and the more different things you take, the worse it seems to be. They seem to wash themselves out in a way. So you want to be really strategic around your supplement use. So we're not just taking everything. We can draw on some things at certain parts of the season, drop some others, and actually get performance enhancement out of them, rather than just taking everything because we should, or we think we should. So how to fix it if you are the type of athlete that is winging it? You need to stop this trial and error and actually get a clear, structured plan that is tailored for you as a triathlete. You need to learn how to fuel for your different types of training sessions, the intensities, the durations, where you're at in your season, whether it's in season or off season, what you're building for, the whole kit and caboodle. Everything needs a nutrition strategy for it. And when you understand how to dial those levers in for where you're at, then that's where the magic happens, my friend. You need to understand what supplements are worth it and which ones are a complete waste of money. That is one of my favorite things to do with athletes in the TNA program, is to get them to give me their list or talk through what they're taking. And I have a little bit of a philosophy where I throw everything out and put back in things that are needed. And my favorite part about working with triathletes is that we want to build nutrition habits that actually support you in your long-term performance as a triathlete and long-term health, because there's no point training hard, working hard now in our younger years if we don't have that health span later on in life as well. You might think that you're pretty fit and you're pretty active, but you don't know what is cooking on the inside and underneath, and underlaying all of that work. You might be setting yourself up for osteoporosis in your older years. And that is one of my key passions, is to get you to eat for performance as a triathlete. It's different to eating for any other sport, but also give you a good side serving of long-term health in the process. So if any of those 5 signs resonated with you, let me just say quickly, you are not alone. I put those 5 together because I know how common it is for triathletes to struggle with at least 2 of them. But you don't have to keep struggling with nutrition if you don't want to. You can keep winging it and trying to figure it out for yourself and take the slow road. Or if you want me to fast track you through all of that research and understanding and give you a clear, structured plan, no fluff, no BS, then the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program cohort for April starts on the 19th. And this is your chance to get everything dialed in so that 2025 is your best year yet. And then we're only going to build stronger and stronger in years to come. So the Triathlon Nutrition Academy is going to help you have a step-by-step plan with guidance from me each week in Power Hour for fueling training and racing and everything that goes with it. No more second guessing, trial and error, having no real idea if things are working for you or not. And structured support so that you can build sustainable nutrition and habits to enhance your performance now, but for life. So go and check that out at dietitianapproved.com/academy. Spots are filling up fast this round. I'm capping it. And once we start our next cohort, doors are closed until July. So head to dietitianapproved.com/academy and let's get your nutrition working for you, not against you.